Good morning, Nancy. How are you doing today?
Well, good morning, and thank you for inviting me, Aaron.
Oh, it's such a special gift. And the reason why is because you've taken what you have done to a newer level of connection. Because when I'm listening to Crime Stories with Nancy Grace, I'm listening to you. I'm hearing your inflection, your pitch, your volume, your tone, and you take me deeper into that story.
Wow, I really appreciate that. I'm just reacting to what I'm hearing. And as I like to tell the Crime Story staff, we think of them, or they think of them, as stories. But these so-called stories, they're cases, they're real people that have gone through real trauma and are suffering real pain that we can only help with real justice. And I want to help give it to them.
I don't know where you found the strength to share the story about Corey, 6 years old, and his dad wanted him to have that beautiful body. See, I know you know. I mean, I cried.
Well, it's okay. Yes, I've cried. I could never do that in front of a jury,
Right.
Because people always talk about women having hysterics, or if you cry, oh, you're weak. I don't know. You'd have to have a heart of stone not to shed a tear over what happened to 6-year-old Corey. And the more I looked at that video, I quit crying, and I got so angry yesterday in court. The father, and we see it on video, there's really no question that he did it, forcing his 6-year-old son, who was very thin and frail, onto a treadmill over and over and over when it would throw the boy off. And in one moment, you see the father, Christopher Gregor, age 31, grab a hold of the boy by the arms, the upper arms, and very tightly hold him. And he's running on the treadmill. And the father reaches down and bites the little boy on the head. And the boy's head goes down, and he makes a face like, ouch. The boy died, covered in bruises with contusion, i.e. bruising to the heart and the liver. And I found out the bio mom who had custody called DFACS, Department of Family and Children's Services, 100 times over 18 months, talking about bruising and crying and a busted lip and a bloody nose and a this and that. They didn't do a DAMN thing. And now the boy is dead. So to hate with them, too. I wish I could try them.
Wow. In the 1980s, Atlanta was pummeled with a serial killer, and now you bring up this Lady Bird Lake story. Unbelievable how many bodies have got to be found in that lake before something is finally done.
What's interesting, I just did an update on that last weekend because 2 more bodies were fished out of Lady Bird Lake. And I keep saying, guys, I know the police are saying it's all natural causes, but the town of Austin, the city of Austin, is living in fear that the so-called Rainy Street Ripple has struck again. 2 more bodies, and a total 12 bodies. I'm just talking off the top of my head. 12 bodies have been found in Lady Bird Lake. And what I believe is happening is that they're all men, are going along Rainy Street where there's restaurants and bars and food trucks and all that. And then somehow they end up dead in this lake. Now, I can understand 1 or 2 accidents, but 12?
One of the things that you offer listeners is an opportunity to have like an inside sleeve. When they go in there and they read that paragraph, you will sit there and put down every person you talked with, what it's going to be about. I love that you're doing that because it gives us an opportunity. It sets us up, is what it does, so that when we go in there, we know the characters already.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. And I think that's so important. You know what I compare it to? Again, my days as a prosecutor. I was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first female special prosecutors and handling certain violent felonies. And I had a boss, amazing, like a grandfather to me. At that time, he didn't see minorities or women up front and center trying cases. Other offices kept them in the background doing appellate work or deadbeat dad collections or over in juvenile justice where there are no juries. But Mr. Slayton believed if you can work it and you can try your case and you can get justice for the victim, I don't care who you are or whether you're wearing skirts or pants or where you were born, get in there and fight. And he gave me the opportunity to become a trial lawyer. And I would tell a jury, this is what I'm going to show you. This is what happened. And these are the witnesses I'm going to bring on. And let me tell you, sometimes I'd have to go to hell to get a witness to put the devil in jail. But I tell the jury up front, this guy, he's got a rap sheet. He's got a record. Who do you think the defendant's hanging out with? Nuns and priests and virgins? No, this guy. But he can see and he can hear. He's going to tell you what he saw and heard that night. I like to tell people up front what they're going to hear and what I think I can prove.
Wow. The cardboard box burglar. I had to laugh about that because it's like, my God, you're taking simplicity. But then where I twist in that story, 3 heists. How did he get away with it 3 times?
I really enjoy a good laugh.
Yes.
Why? Because in most of my cases, 1 or more people are dead. I assume you're talking about the surveillance video that was unearthed showing a bandit wearing a box.
Yep.
And it goes over his head and it comes down just below his shoulders and he burglarizes supermarkets. Now, this guy was finally caught. His name is Claude Griffin Jr., and he's old enough to know better. He's 33. He'd break into glass displays with iPhones. This guy, with a box on his head, stole nearly $40,000 worth of stuff. Now, you know what? You may laugh it off, but I remember prosecuting the then youngest person in Atlanta for multiple murder, aggravated assaults, for going into a pawn shop for dope ropes, as we call them, gold chains, and gunning down everybody in his path. And starts off as a robbery. You want some gold chains? You want some iPhones? And it turns into murder. You never know what's going to happen. So while this guy, he's a complete idiot. There he is. I pulled it up when you told me. I'm looking at him again, and there he is making off with nearly $40,000 worth of goods. But the idiot, he enters masked, but then after he leaves, he takes the box off his head. So there you go.
Wow. Your crime alerts, I love them. I look forward to those because they're short, to the point, and I'm up to date.
Yeah, and we go thank you, number one, we go all over the country to find crime alerts. And I like to usually include one case, if I can, a case with some levity to it, like the cardboard box bandit that robs grocery stores, and then I turn to a more serious case. And I always like to include a missing person or unsolved case at the end, because you never know where you're going to get your next tip.
Yep. Wow, Nancy, I could talk to you all day, but I get you on my podcast. And when I tune in, I know you're right there in the car with me and you're sharing me your stories. You know what? I feel so blessed that you let me ride along with you in the car. That's one of my favorite places to be. It's in my car, my beat up minivan. We call it the Swank Mobile, and you got to be really special to get in that car with me. So thank you. I love it. Please come back to the show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you. Yes, sir. Please invite me. You bet. Be brilliant today, okay, Nancy? I'll try my best. I can't compare to you, but I'll give it all I've got.